Good evening and welcome to Community Spotlight. I have as my guest this evening Mrs. Helen Karl from the new Lenox Township Library. Mrs. Karl, how long have you been our librarian?
This Saturday it will be 11 years. So,
when you took over our library, was it located where it's located now?
no, at that time it was on Church Street in a little building 24 feet wide and 32 feet long. We called it an intimate building.
It was. I remember it well. How many volumes? Do you recall how many volumes we had at that time?
Well, when I first came here there were 9,000 volumes, but within 6 months there were only 6,000.
What happened to the other 3,000?
Well, I'm afraid they went in the garbage, and no one has missed them. We gave them an honorable burial.
All right, good. Where were you before you came to New Lenox?
I was working at the Lake County Public Library in Maryville, Indiana.
Our library is, the Township Library itself is actually how many years old?
It is, as a tax-supported library, it is 40 years old. For 10 years previous to that, the New Lenox Women's Club provided library service in a small library in one of the schools.
Tax-supported, how is it supported by taxes? What kind of taxes support the library?
Real estate taxes. The rate is 15 mills.
15 mills. What does that mean?
Oh, well, that means for every $1,000 of assessed evaluation, you pay 0.15 cents. I think.
To the library?
To the library.
Is this a pretty average amount for a library, low or high? Or?
It is getting to be very low.
On our new library building, do we have a mortgage, a bond issue? How did we pay for our new library building?
Well, we did not have a bond referendum, which would increase the taxes. We managed to save up some money over the years, and with the accumulation of that and a mortgage for 15 years, that is what is paying for it, and it is coming out of the operating funds of the 15 mills.
That sounds very good to me. Good job.
Well,
what departments do we have in our library?
there are the usual departments for a small library. There's the children's department, the adult department, and the reference department are the three major divisions.
In your children's department, I've been there many times and I've noticed other things besides books. What other things do you have in your children's library?
There are records in the record collection, and there are also puzzles, and there are cassette books, which is someone reading the book. You get both in a kit. And there are record books also.
I know that you also have other services for children besides those that you mentioned. There are other programs that you have for them. Can you explain some of them to my audience?
Well, throughout the year we have story hours for preschool children, which are ages 3.5 to 5. Bonnie Plotz has been doing that for several years, and she's really very talented and very charming, and the kids just love her, and so do the parents, and so do I, and do you too?
Yes. Do you have a pretty good turnout for your story hours?
Oh yeah, we have 3 identical sessions, and they're always full. And then in the summer, Bonnie gives other programs for children. Besides the preschool program, there are programs for children through 8th grade. And these are on like special topics. They had a great one on building kites. You know, like 80 kids came and built kites last summer. And then there's the reading club thing where you write down the list of the books you've read and keep track of it and get a certificate at the end of the summer.
That's an ongoing thing that's been going on for years, isn't it? The reading club in the summer. Yeah.
About 1,000, I think.
In your record department, do you have records for adults and teenagers also?
Oh yes, we have a whole spectrum of records: classical, popular, country, jazz, some spoken. Records that show you how to exercise or learn French or whatever.
You've got it covered, huh?
Hopefully, yes.
In our adult section, you have, I assume, the fiction and the nonfiction. In your reference library, we have reference materials. I assume you're talking encyclopedias and dictionaries. What other reference materials do you have?
Well, there are handbooks and specialized dictionaries, such as medical dictionaries and science dictionaries, and specialized encyclopedias like the Encyclopedia of Science and Technology, or Social Sciences, or Bioethics, or that sort of thing. And then Since we moved into our new addition, we now have a lot more room in the reference section, and we have about 250 telephone books from around the country, which people are finding very useful.
Yes, I didn't realize you had that. That's excellent. I understand that you have a magazine section in the library also. How many magazines do you subscribe to?
Well, we subscribe to 160 periodicals, and we keep them for either 3 years or 6 years, depending on their use. And the ones we subscribe to are those indexed in Reader's Guide to Periodical Literature, and also we take recommendations from patrons, and we sometimes buy those if we feel they will fit into our collection. We add about 5 to 10 new periodicals each year, and we drop a few too.
What if I want a book that is not available in our library? How would I go about getting that? Would you be able to help me find that book?
Oh, sure, we can get that for you. Interlibrary loan is one of the services that, well, was instigated about 20 years ago when the systems were developed. And that means that any book that you want that we don't own, we can request from through the system, and in our case it's the Burr Oak system, and they will find the book and send it to us. Their resources are primarily, number one, the University of Illinois Library, which has 6.5 million volumes. It's the 3rd largest library in the country. And if they don't have it, then they go to the Illinois State Library, and if they don't have it, then they can search the computer base for the other systems in the state of Illinois. And practically, very few books are not located in Illinois that way. They can go out of state through OCLC and find a book that way.
All
However,
this is done through computer.
all of it's done through
interacting
computers.
systems with computers, talking to one another. So actually, any book that I would want, I could probably come to you and you would be able to find it for me.
Well, I forgot to say, the first thing we do is we look in our computer, which is the computer for the Burr Oak system. And if there are 12 libraries that have their holdings in the computer, and if it is in there, we can assign our terminal to that library and request it directly, and then it will be delivered in the van probably within 2 days.
Can't ask for better service than that. That's very, very excellent. I've noticed that do you use your computer for keeping track of what volumes you have in our library, what's taken out and what's in? Is that all built into your computer program?
Yes, that's called the circulation system, and it checks the books in and out and tells who has it, when it's due, when it's overdue.
What if
You can
I'm...
also-
oh,
pardon
go
me.
ahead. Go ahead.
You can also place reserves on it so that when a book comes back, it will be trapped so that someone can have it.
So that if I want it, I'm on a waiting list and I'll be
Yes.
next to have it. What if I lose my eyesight? Do I lose my library?
Hopefully not. When it just gets bad, we have large print books, which are 16-point type. It's about 2 or 3 times normal size of type. And we have a number, about 100 volumes, or 200 probably, in that collection. Plus, there are many that the Burr Oak system has we could borrow for you. But if it gets beyond that, then you go into the Talking Books program, which is funded by the Library of Congress. And the systems in Illinois supply the service for this. You are provided with a machine, either a record player or a cassette, and you can also get earphones and pillow phones and all sorts of things, and then they supply you endlessly with reading material, including magazine subscriptions.
And I could come to you for that?
Yes,
Get it right through our new Lenox Library?
Well, we will give you the application, and then Burr Oak system will take over from there.
I see.
But if there's any problem, we'll be happy to help.
Okay, well, thank you. That sounds great, and I know several people that could probably benefit from that service. I wonder if they know about it.
Well, I think there are a lot more people that could benefit it than do, and I don't spread the word so that people can use this service. There's no point in having it and not using it.
I understand the library has several rooms that are available for use to the public, meeting rooms and so forth. Can you tell us about them and how they are available to us?
Well, yes, there are two rooms. One is our new, smaller conference room. It seats 10 very comfortably around a table, and you could probably get up to 20 people in that room. And then the meeting room, which we have had for 11 years, is seats 50. They're available to any New Lenox adult civic group, and there is no fee for using them. They are only available during the times the library is open, and it's on a first-come, first-served basis. So if you need a meeting place, call the library and see if we can accommodate you.
Just get on the calendar and we're all set.
Yes.
It says on my list here that you have an electric typewriter that can be used. Is that just in the library?
Yes.
Come in the library and use
There's
it?
a special room, and you use it in there.
And a Polaroid camera, is that,
Well,
you can take that out?
the Polaroid company supplied these to the libraries, and you check them out just like you would a book for 2 weeks. You do have to provide your own film.
That, I would say. You also have a copy machine?
Yes, it's
How
available.
much does it cost me to make copies?
15 cents a copy. And you can get either regular size or legal size.
Are you still checking out art prints?
Yes. Those belong to the Borough system, but there are 100 of them that are housed at our library, and they go out for 6 weeks.
And what's the fine if you're late with an art print?
It's 25 cents a day.
25 cents a day. Can voters register at the library?
Yes, they can register to vote during the time registration is legally open. It is always closed 30 days before an election.
So it's closed now.
It's closed now, but most of the year it is open. And you should call the library and ask if our registrar is there, because she objects to working 58 hours a week, so there's sometimes she's not there.
And there's really only one person then
Yes,
that does that.
She's called a deputy something or another. I mean, she's...
What if I'm at home and I'm doing a research project or some type of work, and I need a little piece of information that I don't have at my home? Could I call you and ask you to find it for me, would you?
Yes, we do reference work over the phone, or you can come in and we'll help you. Except if it is to answer crossword puzzles, we prefer you figure it out on your own,
Do you
because
have
I know
people
this
calling
is
you about crossword
well,
puzzles?
not too much. And school assignments, we don't feel that that is necessarily, that the teacher is trying to test our skills.
Okay, so...
But we're always happy to help, and, do call up, because it's so simple.
Simple for you.
Simple for you, simple for me.
Do we still have a card catalog in our library, or do you have all that on microfilm or computer now?
We have the card catalog, the old, 3x5, what we call a card catalog. All of the collection is in the computer, and we could get public access screens and eliminate the card catalog and go to just the computer. Joliet is the only one in our system who is using that at the present. There are good things about that in bed. It would be easier for the staff. You don't have to make the catalog cards, and you don't have to file the catalog cards, and you don't have to pull the catalog cards when their book is withdrawn. I mean, all of that would be eliminated. The problems are the expense of the other system and the fact that some people find it very difficult to use. I mean, if you can't spell, you can't use it, and...
Right. A lot of people are still very computer shy,
Yes.
are just not real sure how to communicate with the machine as yet, so...
It is possible for us to go that way, but at the moment we have no plans to do it.
Business and investment services, I see on my list here.
Yes.
What do you mean by that?
Well, we just recently, this year for the first time, have subscribed to the Value Line service, yes, which gives bi-weekly, very frequent update on what they think the best stocks are to buy. And we also take Moody's stock guide, which is updated twice a week. Then we have Thomas Register and the Illinois Manufacturing and Services Registers, which will tell you a great deal.
So our amateur investors could come in the library bi-weekly and get the latest
Yes, and also
reports.
we subscribe to the Wall Street Journal, which gives them the latest information.
Do you carry newspapers other than the Wall Street Journal?
We have the 2 Chicago papers, the Sun-Times and the Tribune, and the Joliet Herald News, and the New Lenox Community Reporter, and that is all.
Well, that sounds like a pretty good variety of newspapers, too. Do you have people that come in the library and read the newspaper every day?
Yes.
Do you?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Do you have children who come in the library and study or just sit and read books?
Well, certainly.
You do, every day. Okay, good. What is our...
You mean one person coming every day or somebody coming every day?
Well, one person or two, or a regular clientele that make the library a place where they go.
Well, the adults, it's more that way. Sometimes some of our older people like to walk. We have one man who likes to walk over every morning and read the paper. And
Okay. I can't think of anything we haven't covered here. Can you think of any other services or departments in your library you'd like to talk about before we close here?
I don't really think so. The main thing I want to say is everyone should come and use their library. It is there, you are paying for it, and we probably have something for you, whether you want to read romance books or biographies or do your schoolwork or figure out how to do your income tax or whatever it is, or repair the plumbing. We're very good on plumbing repairs and lawn care and gardening, and
You have it covered.
we hope so.
One thing, how do I get a library card from you? How do I qualify?
Well, first you have to live in New Lenox. If you are, to be more exact, if you live in New Lenox, you may get a free card because you have paid your taxes. And all you have to do is come to the library and fill out a very small card, show some evidence of that you live here. And then we will make up the card for you. If you do not live in New Lenox, you can get a card for $35 to use our library, or $50 if you want to use all the libraries. One thing we didn't say, I think, was reciprocal borrowing, which is where you can use your card and go to any other library in the state of Illinois, with the exception of about 5 little libraries down south. You can go to Joliet or any of the
So it'd be
surrounding
silly
libraries.
for me to buy a library card for another library when I could use my own or
Oh
use
yeah,
the
you wouldn't.
computer
But there are
system or-
people, for instance, in this area, the people in Ingalls Park are not covered by library service because Joliet is a city library and we're a township library, so they just are not covered. So if they want to go to a library, they have to buy a library card.
I see, so that's the purpose for that.
And there are other areas, not so much, in the Chicago metropolitan area, but there are areas that don't have library service.
I see. Thank you very much, Mrs. Karl, for coming on the program with me tonight. I've learned a lot about our library and all the services you have for the community, and I hope that our sharing it with other people will let them come and take advantage of your services also.
Thank you for inviting me. It's been fun being here.
Good. We're going to conclude our program tonight with a videotape of the recent open house and 50th birthday party of our library. Thank you very much for tuning in to Community Spotlight.
I'm going to walk around. You're having your coffee. I'm going to walk around. All right.
I thank you all for coming. This is the completion of our edition, 50th year of library service in New Lenox, as I understand it. At this time, I should like to introduce our board members and staff. And if they will just step up so they can be recognized, we'll continue. Our vice president is Lou Bracolo. Lou. Our secretary is Karen Cabot. Our treasurer is David Poole. And we'd like to thank Dave and his wife Debbie for making our cake of our library that's on display. Thank you very much. Irene Valentine. Carol Dice. Mary Swanson. And Joanne Stellwagen is our recording secretary. We also have Helen Karl, who's been our head librarian for 14 years. Georgia Madden is Director of Technical Service. She's been with us for 10 years. Bonnie Plotz has been with us for 7 years, and she's in charge of our children's programs. Sue Hall has been with us for 5 years. Barbara Campbell has been with us for 5 years. Arlene Manning has been with us for 4 years. Kathleen Pasiniak has been with us for 3 months. And the newest member of our staff who has been with us for 10 days, Colette Lucky. And I think perhaps you want to merge back into the audience. Thank you. And Arlene will read a brief history of our New Lenox Library. Arlene, if you will, please.
On behalf of the library staff, we welcome you this afternoon. Library service in New Lenox officially began on Friday, February 7th, 1936, through the efforts of the New Lenox Women's Club. Mrs. Ramona Stellwagen was the first librarian, and the 385 books which comprise the library's inventory were housed in a small room at Haven School. The library became a tax-supported institution on October 8, 1946, and after numerous moves, the library purchased 732 square feet on Church Street, where it served the community from 1957 until 1975. In 1966, the new Lenox Township Library became a member of the Burr Oak Library System, and in 1972, our present librarian, Mrs. Helen Karl, began overseeing the operation of our library. In 1975, the library moved to its present location on 516 South Cedar and increased floor space of 7,000 square feet. Today, we are celebrating the completion of an addition which has given us 4,500 more square feet. Our collection of books and recordings now numbers over 53,000 items.
Thank you, Arlene. Helen, did you want to make some comments, please? Helen has done a fine job as our librarian during the building of both wings, working toward better library service for the citizens of New Lenox. Helen?
Thank you. Well, yes, when I started here, it was in the little library on Church Street, and what I always referred to it as an intimate place. You could sort of sit at the desk and reach every book without getting up. The first building, the first edition here, which is, we told you, was completed 10, 11 years ago, had 7,000 square feet in it, and this edition is 4,500 square feet in one big room, as you can tell. That makes a grand total of 11,500 square feet. The price is always interesting. The cost of the building itself was about in round figures, is $300,000, and the furnishings were $35,000. The thing I want to say most to you is that we welcome you today and every other day because this is your home away from home in New Lenox, and we want you to come and use the library and enjoy it. Thank you.
Thank you, Helen. I think it might be noted also that the library board had used funds that were available in our building and grounds account and have floated a mortgage, and we did not have to go with a referendum. We're taking this out of our annual budget, so there is no extra monies for a referendum that the taxpayers will have to support. This time, I'd like to thank some of the people who have contributed to the building of our new addition, both time and finances. Former board members who did the groundwork, not on the board any longer, Dave Kriz and Nancy Weigel and Rita Hassard. Nancy is with us now. And Mr. Helen Karl for the expertise he lends the library in advisory capacity and for the projects which he undertakes for the library. The New Lenox printery also donated and printed our book plates for us. We appreciate that. Our contractor, Lindblad Construction Company, Floyd Day is the president of Lindblad, and Tim Shoemaker is our project manager. If they would like to say anything at this time? No? Our architect, Ken Stromsland and Rosta Young. I believe Ross is here. Now's your time. Thank you very much, gentlemen. And we'd also like to thanks to all those who donated money for buildings and books during our fundraising campaign. Board members in charge of the campaign were Lou Bracolo and Carl Dice. The names of the persons and individuals listed on the wall next to the copy machine there, back there, are those persons who gave $25 or more to the library, or businesses who gave $100 or more. Mrs. Dolores Fonte, the artist who volunteered to create the permanent plaques for the library, was not able to complete them for the open house because she has a serious illness in her family. When the plaques are completed, they will be hung on that wall, although we do have a copy of all the names of people who participated in that fundraiser. I'd also like to thank Mary Swanson, who coordinated today's open house, and also thanks to the New Lenox Grade School District for the use of their public address system. I'd also like to extend thanks to New Lenox Park District and Bill McCullum, the cooperation. We work together in getting our parking lots taken care of. Bill, is there anything you would like to say? Introduce some people.
I think I'd like to introduce to you Bernie Ward and his wife Ann from our commission.
And they are there, right? Okay, fine, thank you. Okay. And also, our village president, Dennis Bailey, has sent his regrets and asked Trustee Lauren Smith to be here in his stead. Laurie, are you here? There you are. We appreciate that. He's off on a convention, I believe. Is that correct? Right. Okay. If we've missed anyone, I apologize, and should I recognize anyone that hasn't been recognized, now's the time. Okay, we also would ask that you please sign our guest register before leaving, and that is found at the front door. And at this time, we'd like to introduce Jack Davis, our legislator from Springfield, who is also a resident of New Lenox. Jack?
Thank you, Elmer, very much, and members of the board, ladies and gentlemen, and the fine staff of the library. We use your facility here, and on behalf of Secretary Edgar, He was the state's head librarian. I would like to convey to you his warm wishes and his respects. Sorry that he couldn't be here. Another commitment, and Elmer and I chased him around for a long time trying to get him here, and he had another commitment. He just couldn't make it. But he sends his congratulations. It's government at its finest, working, as Elmer told you, to put this splendid addition onto the library without going to referendum or raising the tax levy, working within the budget. That's good, conservative, solid government. And my congratulations to the board and to Elmer in particular as chairman of the board. Let me just say that the Bible, and it is Sunday, says that a compassionate and caring society would clothe the naked and would feed the hungry and would heal the sick. I've always thought the scriptures left out one very important part, and that's to teach the young to read and to help the young in language arts, because the bread and the healing and the clothing and the shelter are all very important, but the minds of the young and the minds of the middle, and yes, Elmer, you and I, the minds of the old, and we're getting there, are so very important, and that's what this temple right here is all about. 53,000 pieces of written word. All of the world's knowledge is in this room in front of us right now. It is so vital to a community. It is so vital to the well-being of a community and to its growth to have a library, and to have one, Mr. Chairman and board members, as splendid as this one and as well-stocked as this one, and with the fine, courteous staff that you have. I'm proud to be part of it. I'm proud to be part of New Lenox. And again, once again, Elmer, thank you for inviting me here.
Thank you, Jack. Again, I'd like to thank all of you for coming. We'd like to have you look around. If you want someone to help show you what we have here, any of our staff or board members will be pleased to do that. Answer any questions that we're able to. And following up with what you said, Jack, a mind is a terrible thing to waste. So I'd suggest you get your library card if you don't have one, and please use it. Thank you so much for coming.